Hey, on today's show, you're going to have a expert as it relates to LSAs, PPC, how to grow organically in keywords during the winter. Ultimately, in my mind, the thing that we need to be doing to win the war every winter is start planning and preparing to win the war in the spring. And that goes with your local search optimization and your SEOs and all of those good things. So today, you're going to hear from our Google Ads manager. I really am not too excited about showing everybody who we use because he is phenomenal.
He is. He's a baller. And I think what's important is it seems to be a common theme inside of the series we're doing right now on this podcast that looking ahead is primarily the win. And I think he does today share some really specific ways to look ahead right before winter and to look ahead just 2 months when you get into winter on how to ramp up that are applicable to your business. And so looking forward to that. And without further ado, all righty, let's bring in our guest, Peder Adal.
I don't want to waste any of our listeners' time today, and I'm going to jump right into why everyone's clicking in on this. And so first, we're in a series called Winning the War This Winter, and it's ultimately learning how to grow your business during a time that we generally experience the weight of the cold. Nobody's calling. And today, I've invited you to come on to share about how to get a company ranked, the organic, understanding what Google certified and all the different things are. So, Peder, would you please just come into the show and share us what we need to do to grow our company?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when it comes to, I'll focus specifically here on Google search specifically, and just thinking about this for everyone, and just quickly noting that obviously the search volume does go down during the winter time in this scenario. But when you think about the winter months, at the end of the day, you want to be as competitive as you possibly can. And there's 4 spots specifically that I want us to all to think through. When it comes to somebody searching on a search platform in this capacity, there's Google Guarantee, there's paid search ads, there's the Google Map Pack, which is tied to Google My Business listing, and then there's organic rankings. And specifically, it's nice to have, if you can have a chance in all 4 of those spots, especially when search volume is down, just because of the concept you are trying to get every opportunity you possibly can in that scenario. So dialing into the Google Guarantee side of things, Google Guarantee.
Yeah. Hey, I know I asked you to jump in there and I'm interrupting, but just for our listeners to fully understand is whenever you start a business, your number one goal is to figure out how to generate leads.
Yes.
And when we started Browns, I did all the Google ads myself because I thought, hey, I can do as good as anybody else. But they don't realize how many different things are connected to running a Google Ads Manager. Could you kind of share a little bit about what Google Ads are and how they help someone generate leads for their business?
Yeah. Google Ads are it's the platform that allows you to target your ideal customer. I mean, and the customers and potential customers searching for the services that you do. When you go onto Google and you say, hey, I would like a carpet cleaning near me in that capacity, or carpet cleaners near me, for example, that is a great example of, if you're a carpet cleaner and you're nearby, you want to show up for that. Like that is right. That's a great term, and that's reality. The other thing about this is, just so you know how Google thinks about this. This is Google's model for how they do business, is how they make money. When it comes to people searching, that's where they make, I think in 2023, it was like 68%. Don't quote me on that, but 68% of the revenue came from that. Because it is when somebody is searching, that means they are looking for that thing at that time. In other words, if you can get in front of them at that time, it's the best time to get in front of them, right? There's no other. They're looking to pull out their wallet. They're looking for the service you have. Yes.
Okay. So, yes, let's pretend for a second that I just started a business or I've been in business, but my website doesn't show anywhere on the first, second, or third page. What can I do to grow my business?
Yes. The first things being first is if you need to start showing up on the first page as soon as possible, the fastest and easiest way to do that is to run paid ads. And there's two versions of that we were kind of highlighting there a little bit. There's Google Guarantee or local service ads, as we call them, and then the paid search ads. The reason why local service ads, these would be the ones that have a green check mark to them, are very valuable, is because there's some extra process of where you got to verify that you are the owner, that you have insurance, things of this nature, hence why it's verified. But if you get into that spot, or you can put your ads in front of in that area, you are the first thing people see, guaranteed, above any organic rankings, above any map pack, above any even paid search ads. You're the first thing that people see. And so I have seen very often where there could be in some cases, usually a competitor of somebody I'm helping, but because they rank so low, they put a lot of their eggs in the basket into that spot, because they otherwise nobody sees them. It's just the end of the day, that reality. So that's if you need to start. Well, first of all, I'd always say that's important to have anyways. That's one of the 4 spots you want to have an opportunity in. But if you need to get ads going tomorrow, you want to get going on those as fast as you can. Local services ads. Yeah, go ahead.
So if I don't look like Chris Hemsworth and I want to attract new customers, I'm going to have to pay for it.
You're going to pay for them. You're going to have to pay for them. The nice part about local services ads is you don't even have to show your face, really, in that capacity. So you're just like, hey, and by the way, those ads, how they work is they don't even go to your website. So you could even be a spot where you're not even happy with your website, and you, or they'll just call you.
That's a big deal.
So that's the beautiful thing about those. The next spot is the paid search ads. The difference between paid search ads and the Google guaranteed one is there's less certification needed, number one, and number two, you have a lot more control on how those ads look, how they work, and where they work actually as well. And that's very helpful if you want to say, I only want to target these terms. Google is going to take a lot more liberty with Google Guarantee. For example, let's say you're a carpet cleaner again. A good example would be like tile and grout cleaning. You might fall into that bucket, so the Google Guarantee ad would show up for that. But maybe you don't want to do tile and grout cleaning. The paid search ads is where you would say, I just want to do carpet cleaning. I just want to focus on that, but exclude tile and grout cleaning. So you have a lot more control. Or maybe you want to do a tile and grout cleaning only in this zip code. I mean, you can get very specific, and that's why that's valuable, is because the targeting there really isn't a better targeting. And once again, going back to what you were saying, Brady, again, is you're targeting the person that's hungry in the hot dog shop, right? So that's where that comes to the value.
You're free to use that whenever you want.
I like that. I like that one a lot.
I got a question for you. I don't want to detract too much from the direction that we're headed, but like, what are common mistakes that you see guys making in their spending with Google Ads, how they're doing it without an ads manager? What are some of those things you see them doing that you're like, hey, stop doing this? Like, it's actually better not to spend at all during the winter than to do that.
Yes. Yes, I will. Okay. When it comes to the winter time, especially the wintertime. The reality is people are, especially when think of January, people are coming after the people, and this is true for businesses as well. There's obviously going to be some people who are like gung-ho, so let me always say there's always going to be a select few, but usually in January, as people are having a little bit of a oh my goodness, I got the credit card bill type moment. And so when they're searching for things, it's not to say that they won't purchase, but they're on the fence more than they usually are. Just to put it bluntly, that's usually the case. At least based on my experience from the years helping out with different local service-based businesses. The one thing when it comes, so you have to focus ads specifically to the pain points they'd have. We talked about we've kind of chatted a little bit before about this, but the concept of when it comes to November and December, one of the big things that a lot of service-based businesses forget about, I think, is just the fact that the holidays are coming. Somebody's hosting. If you are running ads, highlight the fact of having your house ready for family and friends.
So, like, if you're gonna be spending money on ads, make them vastly specific to the seasonality.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So that being said, the problem that a lot of people do when it comes to paid search ads, and this is where Josh, you were kind of highlighting this before. The reason why you want somebody who actually understands how paid search ads work is there's variations of how targeting for a phrase works. And if you don't know how that works, you can spend a lot of money fast and not get anything for it.
Oh, that makes me nauseous.
And
it makes me want to bark.
And the problem is you might then be like, this isn't working. So you call a Google Ads rep who doesn't understand your business and doesn't understand that, no, you need the phone to ring. You need the form to be filled out. And they're looking at like, well, you could try this. You could try this. And at the end of the day, you want to get those. That's what you want, ideally. That is the main goal, right? Is to get the phone to ring and on a form submission to happen. So without the problem, where I see a lot of guys go for this. Yes, sir.
I know I'm interrupting you, but for our listeners to understand the reality, you can actually hire a Google Ads manager, which I had prior to you, who is running paid ads and having individuals hitting your ads, filling out job applications, and you didn't even want to show job applications to these individuals in different cities and states all over the country, and you're spending hundreds of dollars and $1,000 a month for a Google Ads manager.
I think sometimes people have to put that in perspective that's easy to understand. It makes me think about the vending machine that's broken and only one of the kids at school know how to hit the right corner the right way to make the stuff fall out, but you keep putting the dollar in, pressing A6 and nothing's coming out. And it's like, that just makes me want to barf thinking about the amount of money you could throw in a fire and get nothing in return.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. The situation that you're talking about is a good example where the problem when you take it on your own and you've never really had experience before is that they make it easy to spend money and quote unquote make it easy to quote unquote optimize, and it could be extremely wrong. The scenario that you're even talking about, which is just to paint the concept for this, if you want the phone to ring and you want a form to be filled out, and you have a form on your site that is for jobs or careers, like people can apply for things, or quite frankly, it doesn't even have to be that. It's just not it's just not your service-based form. Let's just start with that. If you tell the system, hey, optimize for form submissions or calls, and it finds this vein of like, oh, somebody filled out this form, the system, that even the AI, if you will, the machine learning system that optimizes those ads is going to double down on that. And it's only going to continue to find more and more people like that. I know that was a scenario that you were dealing with. And it just found this vein of niche group of people that it just doubled down on. Yeah. And spent probably 30 to 40% of the ad spend on some of those people. So,
that is nuts.
So anyways, that's where I would say the problem when you try to do it yourself, you've never done before, is they make it easy to spend your money and they make it easy to quote unquote optimize. But at the end of the day, it's probably not optimized for what the specific need you need. So, and the winter months, especially, you can spend money extremely fast and not get a lot of return just based on how customers feel. So does that help a little bit there?
Yes.
100%. I feel like I'm wondering if, how do I phrase this? If you're working all year whether you're a first year business or you're a little developed and you're trying to rank on Google, you're trying to do all these things that you're saying. Let's say you successfully do wind up at the top. What are two questions? What are good practices to stay there? How do I stay up there? And how will that help me during the winter time? And it may not at all during the actual winter, but when you come out and things ramp up, how does getting on top and staying on top through those actions help you in the winter?
Yes. I'm gonna take a little liberty with that as well. In the months of, like, let's say January and February, for a lot of service-based businesses, these are like the slower months. The kicker is that March and those next months are going to come, and they're going to come fast. And not analyzing where you are sitting when it comes to people looking for your service is a problem. So let's go with that idea of like where we talked about, you're in the first place spot. First of all, let's just start with that. You need to know that you're in the first place spot. And you need to know that you are actually in that first place spot for the regions that you want to serve. So this is where a rank tracker comes into play, or having somebody help you with a rank tracker so it understands, like, this zip code, this region, I want to know where I'm sitting. Having something that is monitoring that for you will be helpful. Because the worst thing the problem is that you could look at it in January and be like, oh, I'm okay. And then you don't check it again. And come March, you find out that, I dropped to the second page. I mean, the main goal for everything when it comes to rankings is to try to get on the first page, and of course to get as high as you can on the first page. That's because it's the first thing people see. But that's one of the things there that you want to work through. If you are in the first spot, you just need to keep monitoring that first spot and the people that keep continuing to maybe start climbing up the rankings lower than you in that scenario. And if you're not in the first spot, that's the spot where you need to understand here's the best way to think about it. What are the people doing that are in the first spot that you're not doing? Like how is their site structured? How is that page structured? Can you do something similar, at least to boost yourself a little bit? There's obviously a ton of factors that goes into organic rankings. And let me be abundantly clear, the amount of updates that Google does is, and sometimes minor, sometimes major, is many times a month. So when I say you're in the first spot, you just need to be thinking about, am I roughly in the first to 5 spots?
Am I close? Yeah.
Every day could be a different day.
So now you've addressed that, and that's great. I get there. How do I stay? Continue to do the actions and reviews that got you there. Just don't stop.
You don't want to. So here's the thing that I think some people do that I would maybe sometimes caution against, is they feel like, well, in order for me to stay, I just need to keep pushing out, generating content over and over and over and over and over and over again. That can help in that capacity, or keep putting something on my blog. Like, it's good for Google to see fresh content, but at the end of the day, unless that content is focused about generating leads for you, ranking in the 3rd spot for roof cleaning is a good thing, right? Or the 2nd, or whatever the terms are that you want to rank for, that's what you need to focus on. And there is some concept about creating content that does, like, what we call topical authority, that tends to raise all of your rankings in that scenario. But the problem is that what I see, and honestly, this is one thing I see problem with business owners during those off months, is if they do work on it, they sometimes work on creating content that doesn't really actually help them. You want to get your page ranking for that term. That's the end goal here. And the question is what are the sites above you doing that you're not doing? And vice versa, are there sites that are below you in rankings that are slowly coming up? What are they doing that you're not doing? That could be creating some content, but more than likely, it's they're adjusting the page. They're maybe potentially networking. When I say networking, I mean like doing reach into the area, and they're maybe getting linked from things that are regional to that area. I always like to think of like the Chamber of Commerce, for example. If somebody's a part of that, get that link pointing to your website. I mean,
oh, that's good.
it continues to help Google know, like, this is the area that I'm trying to help in that scenario.
That's good.
So, yes. And then I would also say, for those service-based businesses that have what I like to call the sub-regions, so the sub-regions specific to your area. If you go to, in like one of the states nearby me, Minnesota, there's like the Twin Cities. Well, the Twin Cities is Minneapolis, St. Paul. Inside of Minneapolis, St. Paul, there's Plymouth, there's like Eden Prairie, like all these sub-regions in this scenario. And so there will be people who are searching for my service, Minneapolis or St. Paul, that I might be able to help. But there's also going to be people searching for Eden Prairie, my service. How can I help? So that's a scenario where you could create specific pages for those sub-regions on your website. If you do not have them already, that could be helpful for people searching for those specific regions.
There is so much to be chewing on. So it's more than just signing up for Google My Business or Google Business Profile.
Yeah, you're right.
Credit card. There is an S word that's connected to this strategy. And it's almost like you could hire somebody to spend their time doing what you probably don't know how to do, like a Google Ads manager. So, Peter, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you and learn more about growing their business or maybe doing work for you, how can someone get in touch with you?
Yeah. If someone wants to get in touch with me, I'm on like some of the social media channels like Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, my name, Peder Audal. Probably the best way to get a hold of me, though, is just to go. The website is 168hours.com. That's based on the fact that you have 168 hours a week. You want something working for you all the time. So that's what honestly paid advertising tends to do for you, and organic rankings, by the way. But from there, as well as I know there will be a link here. There's a booking link as well that's kind of specific that people can schedule a time just to chat. Once again, no pressure. If you have questions or help, I'm more than happy to see about trying to just advise about next steps for whatever your specific situation may be. That's the other thing, is everybody is specific. You could be in the Northwest, you could be in the Midwest, you could be in a snowy area, you could be in an area where there's no snow. And every region has got its own little unique thing. So anyway, that's how strategy comes into play.
And if this episode didn't encourage you to talk with Peter, then I think you're probably a goober, because he's not just saying, hey, don't spend money, or hey, keep spending money, or he's got all kinds of different verbiages and things that you probably hadn't even heard yet. And understanding how to get specific with the way you are going to add and spending money on those ads, I would encourage you to try to click the link and just sit down with him and try to learn more than a 25-minute conversation with him on what to do during the winter when you're a seasonal business.
So good. I had a couple of thoughts. When you look at 2024 and as it relates to Google Ads, how did just the nation do? Was there a down year and up year? What did you see from your experience?
2024 Google Ads. Obviously, there's different types of ads within Google Ads, but let's talk about the search ads that we've been kind of highlighting specifically. I tend to believe that if you had put some effort and time into it, I actually do think that Google search ads for local service-based businesses did go well. Once again, this goes back to the concept of somebody understanding how they work versus somebody that doesn't. And that's not meant to be some sort of dig at anyone. It's just the concept of there was a lot of opportunity. The flip side of that, though, if there's anything I would say that is very unique to 2024 that I pray we don't happen in 2025, is in some sort of that is the election in the country. I mean, the thing that people forget about is there was like billions of dollars pumped into the digital marketing sphere during that time. And if you were a service-based business and especially if you weren't doing search, but search probably got impacted a little bit, but especially if you weren't doing, you're doing display, social media marketing in this capacity. The costs went through the roof. And on top of that, because the election was taking so much forefront, everybody had in their back of their mind some sort of unknown of what was going to happen in that scenario. And because of that, people were just way more hesitant than they ever were for any service. And this goes across the board industries. This is not some specific thing to any specific industry. So you might even been looking, but in the back of your mind, you had something going. As soon as the election was over and everything was certified, or I say clarified, I should say is a better way to say it. It's just like everybody's mind went, that part just completely shut off. And the clarity alone was just huge for people. So in 2025, that should not be a thing. And in other words, there were some clients I just said, we need to turn off ads because they're just not working. So during this time, but that's what I would say would be an anomaly for 2024 and should not be happening in 2025.
That makes me feel a little bit better about the year we experienced this year. It was an interesting one, to say the least.
Hey, Peter, it's always a pleasure to have you inside of our lives and also a guest on our show. So thank you for taking time from your day. We feel like we are inside of a war with you. That's what's beautiful about having someone that knows what they're doing inside of your business. So thank you so much. And until next time.
Peace.